But sort of seriously, it's going to be an important election because we've got some massive questions for the future of our country. We've got, you know, are we going to have a Brexit that gets rid of the workers' rights that we've fought for years? Are we going to have a Brexit that looks after our regions, looks after our country, that protects the things that we hold dear? We've got questions about, you know, what's our economy going to do? Are we going to invest in opposing climate change? Are we going to invest in proper jobs? Are we going to invest in those kind of things? We're going to have a £10 minimum wage, because these are all things I'm proud to fight for. Are we going to have Theresa May, who's overseen the biggest fall in the pound in history, and wants to take away those rights that we've built up for years, wants to take away all those things, and, you know, is going to lead us down the road to ruin as a country. It's an important election, and we've got to get out there and get that message to people. We've got to say, you know, who do you want your voice in Calder Valley to be? Do you want your voice to be someone who makes jokes about Jimmy Savile on Twitter? Do you want your voice to be someone who voted against flood defences? Or do you want your voice to be someone who's worked as a trade union official, standing up for vulnerable people, who's worked for charities looking at people on low income and using food banks, and someone who cares about this value, who's got this value running through their veins? Because that's what we're going to get out there and do. We're going to tell them that we're the party that care about people in Calder Valley, we're the party that understand people in Calder Valley, we're the party that care about real jobs and investment in the north, and that's where we're going to get out there and do something about it. And I'd just like to introduce quickly Peter Davies, who's our landlord here, as the local official from GMB. I'm proud to be a trade unionist. I'm also very proud to be a GMB member, and I'm incredibly proud that they've given us the room here, because there are some people who act like Labour should be ashamed of our links with trade unions. That's never been my position. I've always been proud to be the party of organised workers. I've always been proud to be a party that stands with people when they're struggling, that stands for a higher minimum wage, that stands for workers' rights, that every great achievement that we've had for workers in this country has been delivered by a Labour government, whether it's the NHS or whatever, with the backing of the trade union movement, and that's why I'm proud to be a trade unionist. So I'd like to introduce Peter very quickly to say a few more words. Thank you.
Well, I too will not keep you from your food or your campaigning for very long. A lot of you won't know me. I'm quite new to the West. I've been a trade union officer for some years now down in South Yorkshire, where I covered Sheffield, a very large local authority. And for those of you who are not aware, very big Labour majority in Sheffield. Wasn't the case when I first started working for the GMB as an officer. When I first came in, the Lib Dems were in power in Sheffield, which is strange to say that its reputation is the socialist capital of South Yorkshire. Well, you know, I'm afraid the Lib Dems were in power in those days because they were actually seen possibly as more left-wing than the previous Labour council. And I was shocked to find that out. My background had been in Nottinghamshire and in the mining industry. I was a coal-face worker for 14 years and saw the devastation of the mining strike and everything else. That's what inspired me to get involved in the trade union movement. Now, we were, without blowing our own trumpets, the GMB were absolutely pivotal in turning that from a Lib Dem majority to a huge Labour majority. We poured thousands and thousands in resources and put lots of feet on the ground, because we've got thousands of members work for that local authority. And we were an army, the GMB, during that time when we got Labour back in. And I think the last count, I always thought it was about 25 of those councillors in Sheffield were GMB members. I think it's 32 now. So it's a huge, quite powerful group of councillors. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not all in there on their GMB agenda. They're in there fighting for their constituents. And just like in every local authority, the unions are never going to agree with some of the tough decisions that those councillors are making, or the way that they're making, the way that they're prioritising. But having said that, I wouldn't want their job for a gold pig. So from time to time we fall out down there, but the relationship with that Labour group and the GMB is second to none. And if any of you have got colleagues in the Labour Party down there, you know, talk to them about it, because we've got a fantastic, well, a very good relationship with Labour in Sheffield, and a very active trade union down there. Now, when I came up into the West recently, and that's because I've been promoted to the senior organiser covering the west of the region. Part of the region, my remit coming up here is for the union to be far more active within the Labour Party. We haven't done enough. We simply haven't done enough. We can't sit in our silo and point the finger at the Labour Party and Labour councillors and Labour MPs. We have to be in there. So we will always support our members. Josh is one of our members. We will always support our members, and we'll do all we can for our councillors to get them on that next ladder of influence. And, you know, Josh, I know that we've had our differences as a union and with councillors, but where we will never differ, is all of us see what Theresa May and what the Tories are doing. They've never changed. I'll often talk to groups of workers and say, particularly young groups of workers, who'll say, well, you know, my parents talked to me about trade unions, my parents talked to me about the 1970s and the bad old days. I haven't seen the 1970s and early 80s as bad old days. I've seen them as good old days from a worker's perspective. But there is this reputation around the trade union movement and what its relationship is with Labour. But one thing will never ever change. The Tories will never change. They are what they've always been. They've always been for big business, for corporate business, for lower taxes. The rich will always get richer and the poor will always get poorer. That will never ever change. One thing that never changes is unity is strength. And we've all seen, you know, one of the reasons that we're taking a bit of a pounding in the Labour Party is because we haven't had that unity. Well, we've got an election now and we've got to have that unity. And I can tell you now, my union will throw its resources to any campaign that makes a difference. And do you know what? Josh and I were talking earlier, and Josh was saying, well, you know, we've got to make a difference. If we do nothing else, we've got to make a difference. Do you know what? We're in with a shout here. Labour, you know, all of us were caught on the back foot when you called this election. The unions went to the Labour Party and we said, what's your plan? Where's your priorities? And the Labour Party said, we ain't got one. To be absolutely honest with you, we haven't got one. We're going to try and hold on to what we've got. So the unions got together in this region. Unison decided that they would target certain areas. We split it up between us. All the unions got together and we said, right, we've got X amount of resource. So Unison have got their priorities. GMB have got our priorities. Usdaw have got theirs. Usdaw have got theirs, and Unite have got theirs. They're the big supporters in this region. And then the message at the end of that meeting was, and if anything's not on there, then we share the rest. And yours wasn't on the map, because I don't think at the time you'd even been selected. Now I've been back and said, regardless of all of that, with a GMB member, with a large active group of Labour activists who can see some light at the end of the tunnel here, my union are committed to supporting you. This building is here at your disposal. There's going to be times when you're tripping over Batley and Spen and Dewsbury and the other campaigns. I make no apologies for that. Busy is good. It'll be a little bit, it might be a little bit chaotic. We've allocated a room. This space is yours to use. So yes, we might be tripping over one another, but get yourselves here, use our facilities, and whatever we can do for you, Josh, we'll do for you. And let's see that June marks the end of what is an awful, awful May.